against the law. It was against the law. What did Mama saw? It was against the law. Well, Mama looked down and spit on the ground every time my name gets mentioned. Papa said, oh, if I get that boy, I'm gonna stick him in the house detention. Well, I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going.
This is James Kalm, the guy on the bike, welcoming our worldwide viewership back for another half-ass production. And today we're down here at the Stephen Harvey Fine Art Project, and we're going to take a look at an exhibition of drawings by the great Bob Thompson. Come in here and do a quick sweep of the installation. Oh, and they've got a nice painting here. Maybe this is a unfinished painting, I'm not sure. Anyway, Steve just opened his gallery down here. It's at the northern edge of Chinatown about 2 or 3 months ago, and I love his program. This is Untitled Nude in Forest, and it's charcoal on paper from 1958. Now, one of the things that I love about Bob Thompson is that in a lot of ways he was like a proto version of Jean-Michel Basquiat. This piece is also untitled Nude. I think he grew up in somewhere in the South, maybe South Carolina, and initially came north and spent some time in Provincetown. And while he was there, he met a whole group of the bohemian new figurative painters, people like Lester Johnson. This is also untitled Figure in Still Life. Oh, I like his strips. And this is also untitled Man in Forest. Bob Thompson was very successful. He started out fairly young, came to New York, and was picked up at some point by Martha Jackson, who would probably be considered the Mary Boone of her time back in the mid-60s, late 60s. It's called High Night. M. Bills, John, Red, and Me. This is from 1958. Got a little dedication up there. Now, one of the other great things about Bob Thompson is that he was very much influenced by the masters, the Italian masters, the Quattrocento and the early Renaissance masters. This is Ladies in Waiting Outside, study from Piero della Francesca's discovery of the wood of the true cross and meeting of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. There's more of his great line work. This is untitled Self-Portrait. You know, and he, I think, was pretty much self-taught. I don't think that he spent a lot of time in the academy, but he really did have a natural touch for his line and stroke and the rhythms. Chiaroscuro. Well, now we're going to talk to Stephen Harvey of Stephen Harvey Fine Art Projects. Is that the name of the space?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how you got the show together and why you think Bob Thompson is an important artist at this time.
Well, first of all, it's the first show that's ever actually been done of Thompson's drawings.
Just the drawings.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, there have been 2 shows, one in the 60s and one in the 70s, of his works on paper. And if you go in the back, you'll see one of these sort of paintings on paper.
Yes.
From the 60s, the sort of later period of his brief 8-year career. And those are a little bit more known, but actually the kind of drawings that we're seeing here in ink and charcoal, they've never been shown before.
Well, were they in sketchbooks or stashed away in portfolios, or?
these come from several private collections.
Oh.
And the drawings were given by him to individuals in most cases, like literally personally given by Thompson to somebody. And they were in portfolios, and we restored them and framed them and put them on the walls.
Now, I also heard you talking about some of his connections with some of the great jazz musicians of the 50s. You want to give us a little
Well, it's fun for me.
explanation of that?
It's kind of fun for me because this is we did a little catalog, and
Yes, it's beautiful.
we got Hetty Jones to write, who was a neighbor of mine when I grew up on Cooper Square. She was
Yes.
building down the street. I'm hoping Hetty will come tonight. And in her building was Archie Shepp, and on one floor, and then this guy Marzette Watts on another floor. And Hetty, of course, is portrayed by Thompson with her then husband Leroy Jones in a painting that's in the Whitney catalog. And it's interesting because Thompson had a profound connection to music. There's photographs of him with Moondog. I don't know if you remember Moondog.
Good old Moondog.
Ornette Coleman. This is a drawing of Charlie Hayden, the bass player, over here on the wall. Clearly they're hanging out. As I was thinking about it today, I was realizing that Archie Shepp, did a mammoth composition called Portrait of Robert Thompson as a Young Man. It's like 18 minutes of wild free music.
Wow.
And I downloaded actually 2 live versions of it today. They're incredible. And then I was thinking about the other neighbor who I was always fascinated with, this guy Marzette Watts, who's like just a total cult figure in free jazz. And I was reading about him on Wikipedia, and it turns out he was also a painter, and he was painting in Bob's studio in Ibiza, you know? So the connection between painting and music was very deep. Which I always
That's great, and a lot of it happened right around this neighborhood,
Absolutely. I mean,
over on the Bowery and East Village.
Thompson was in 2 studios like right near here. It's
Right, on
incredible.
Rivington Street.
Exactly.
How about his early death and the problems he had with maybe some of the bad habits he picked up from the jazz musicians?
You know, it's interesting because one friend of his was just saying to me that actually he had this habit, had a heroin habit from when he was very young, before he was involved, like from Louisville, like as a kid, actually.
So he was from Louisville.
Yeah. And,
Wow.
that he maintained it, but he did get off drugs and alcohol, and then later, like in the period in the mid-60s, he actually went off drugs and alcohol, and somehow he had some physical issues, like pancreatic issues.
Oh boy.
And he was told by a doctor that he couldn't ever use alcohol or drugs again, and apparently did. Now this is hearsay, as I'm just being told, recently by somebody who was a friend of his. And so that apparently happened in Italy, right? You know, in '66, of course, and that he did drink again, and that just caused his body to dysfunction.
And he'd also been recognized and was one of the real hot young, I guess, expressionistic figurative painters that was really getting a lot of the spotlight and kind of put a lot of pressure on him.
Exactly, and of course he was showing up Martha Jackson and he was doing really well. And somebody called me yesterday and said that this guy was an old friend of his, and he remembered the show that was done around the corner from here, like the first show, which I'm guessing is in the late 50s, 59 maybe or something like that. And how there was a show, and this guy was saying everyone came down this one night and he bought all the paintings the first night. And
wow.
What a scene for somebody who was like a young, unknown painter.
Maybe we'll have some of that happen here tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Knock on wood.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve, and
Thank you.
Congratulations on the new gallery space. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks. It was Steve Harvey. Okay, so this is the drawing of Charlie Hayden.
I'm trying to do a good thing.
And Thompson really has a great sense of line.
Doesn't he? It's kind of like, one of the...
Kind of like, Hockney or maybe a good Matisse.
Exactly.
You know, he's really, and he's got some pattern things going on in there. That's beautiful pen and ink. Well, this piece is titled Last Painting from 1966. And it's oil on canvas, 55 by 63 inches. And I think one of the great things is we really get a chance to see his process, how he would build up his images, and he's actually drawing with color. and then slowly kind of filling things in with his washes. Is this really his last painting?
Yes, supposedly.
So this was sort of found in his studio after he passed away?
I don't know the circumstances of how they know it, but it's in the Whitney catalog as the last painting. It's titled Last Painting.
Right.
And there are a few other works that are kind of related to it that are essentially drawings on canvas that are in one in the Met, two in the Hirshhorn. They're both sort of similar in the sense that they deal with outlines on canvas.
Yes, drawing with color and...
Exactly.
Okay, thanks, Steve. So, it's very nice. Now, I went to see the Bob Thompson exhibition that they had at the Whitney. I don't know, this might have been maybe 10 or more years ago. And one of the things I really enjoyed about Bob's work is that he had a very good sense of color and was able to do a lot of overlaying and pedimenti, and was able to really get a lot of mileage out of a very simple palette. I don't know what the title of that one is. This is a portrait of Nina Simone.
I know, exactly right. I always found
And the sparseness of this is great.
Wait, say that again? Yes, exactly. I mean, first of all, I think,
Almost looks like maybe a felt tip pen he's using. This is 1965.
So anyway, I never made it to Erica's thing.
You can flip it over and we see what the other side looks like.
That I did,
Beautiful.
yes.
Yeah. You should charge double for that one.
It's not on the weekend, is it?
Oh, this is a beautiful little watercolor on paper.
It's part of the whole box.
It's titled Waiting Figure.
Bob's images for himself is the man.
And you can see that he definitely soaked in the watercolor. This kind of makes me think of a Rewalt.
After and read.
This is titled Figure with a Balloon.
That doesn't mean it's
And it's
dead.
also watercolor.
It doesn't mean it's dead because you're dealing with.
And I like the way he's got sort of the dry brush
She's in Miami right now.
on top of the figure here.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I know that she, but the last time you and I corresponded on Facebook.
This is titled Red.
Yeah, we're working on that, so. Okay. Yeah, so it's not over till it's over.
That's great. The blue lines that make up his nose and eyes.
Yeah, she's
Cobalt blue.
a consultant, and she has a client.
This one is pastel.
She collects women photographers.
And we'll wrap up with this piece.
You're welcome.
It's also Untitled Man with Hat. This is oil on paper,
So anyway.
13.5 by 10 3/5
Oh, good.
inches.
Not so easy, right? Yeah. Yeah, Barbara Thomas was going to come, but she got last minute tickets out.
This is 1958, so this is a very early piece.
Yeah.
So this is James Kalm
There's more in the back row.
down here on the Lower East Side, looking at Bob Thompson drawings here at the Stephen Harvey Fine Arts Project. 208 Forsyth Street. Thanks, Kate.